Was Marnie Hughes reporting. Joining us now is Father Rocky Hoffman of Relevant Radio. Father Rocky, thanks for being with us. And obviously, devastating news to Catholics this morning. Talk about Pope Francis's legacy.
You know, I was on a number of networks yesterday and Saturday, and everyone was asking, do you think he'll show up for Easter? Do you think he'll show up for Easter? I said, boy, his health is not good, but I just want to applaud Pope Francis the man for showing up for Easter given his condition. What a way to go out, right? We've been following this news story for the last 2 months, and he was out there in the Pope Mobile greeting the people and giving the blessing. He wasn't strong enough to celebrate the Mass, and this morning at 7:35 a.m. Rome time, he passes away. Very similar to Pope John Paul II about 20 years ago, passed away like right after Easter. So, I want to applaud him and thank him for his great example of staying in the saddle until the end to be able to serve the people. And now the church will go into some time of mourning. I imagine his funeral will be sometime early next week, and then within the month there will be a conclave. But what a great example he gave to all of us. Sure, the body was old and all that, but he wanted to be with the people.
Yeah, and our reporter Marnie Hughes outlined some of those specifics, but could you maybe talk about what didn't go well for him in his legacy and or what was unfinished?
What was really on his mind the last number of years was the war in the Middle East, and the war in Ukraine, and the war in Myanmar. I mean, he really had a heart for the weak and vulnerable. And I know it's frustrating world leaders at all levels. In terms of, I would think that's the biggest thing. I mean, he had an intentional purpose at the very beginning to change sort of the tone of the papacy right from the beginning. He chose a name that's never been chosen before. He's Pope Francis. There's never been Pope Francis before. And that's an allusion to Francis, who was the founder of the Franciscan order in the Middle Ages, humble priest, poor priest who could engage with Islam in the Holy Land and engage with all sorts of people. And I would say he never changed doctrine, but he took a less rigid approach to enforcing it. And, he would call the church a field hospital where we have to take care of the people who are injured. And in that way, people would regard him as unconventional. But he gave us a great example of showing up every day for prayer, showing up every day for Mass. Whenever he would leave Rome or come back to Rome on a pilgrimage, he would go to his favorite church in Rome, which is not St. Peter's. It's on the other side of Rome, on top of the Esquiline Hill. It's called Santa Maria Maggiore. That's Italian for Saint Mary Major. And he said that's where he wants to be buried, over there. And he would pray in front of an ancient icon of the Blessed Mother. So he was very devoted to Our Lady.
Just April of last year, he updated the papal funeral rites, and it sounds like he wanted to simplify them a lot because he thought of himself as a simple person. Talk about what we might see differently than what we've seen in the past.
Well, you have to be a keen observer to notice differences, but you will notice differences if you are a keen observer. And he doesn't want to be buried in a 3-compartment coffin, just a 2-compartment coffin. It'll be a simple oak. And he sort of eschewed a lot of the pomp and the circumstances around that. But I expect, even though it may seem a little bit simpler for the untrained observer, it's going to be a big event, right? I don't know, 500,000 or 250,000, 1 million people will show up for the funeral in St. Peter's Square. It'll be a long ceremony. I hope the weather is good. I hope it's not raining out there. But the liturgy itself, it'll follow the same order that it does for any funeral. There'll be a greeting, there will be the readings, there will be a homily, there'll be the Holy Eucharist, there'll be Holy Communion, and then there will be the burial of the Holy Father. And then the church just continues. The cardinals will gather and they will pray, and they have to elect somebody, and hopefully that guy says yes.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much of a peek behind the curtain you can give us, but for those more conservative cardinals, what influence, if any, do they have at this point?
It's anybody's guess. The person, as they say, who's going into the conclave as the Pope is the one who's not elected Pope. Many times there's surprises. But they really need to pray to the Holy Spirit to kind of sense, okay, where is the Holy Spirit leading the church right now? Again, Pope Francis, he took a different approach, I would say pastorally. He was all about being close to people and tenderness and mercy and compassion, but he never changed any fundamental doctrine of the church, because no pope can do that. He's got to stick to the words of Christ and the teachings of the church. But he was less rigid in enforcing it. I think he was more merciful that way. And I think it was, I don't know, a month or two ago, maybe it was WGN or News Nation I was on, and they asked, what do you think his legacy will be? I said, I think he'll be known as the Pope of Mercy. Right, that really explains his heart reaching out to people, especially to the underdog. And that gives a lot of people a lot of hope. I talk to a lot of people, many of them non-Catholics or non-practicing Catholics, and they really love the pastoral style engagement of Pope Francis.
And you mentioned this off the top, but it is for people who are just waking up. It is truly unbelievable that he was saying a prayer yesterday, Easter morning, and met with our vice president yesterday.
I know.
I mean, it speaks volumes about how much respect he had for the church and those rituals.
You couldn't script it better. All right. I mean, it's Easter Sunday. Everybody's wondering, is he going to show up? And most prudent people think, why don't you take it easy? But no, he wasn't going to take it easy. He was out in that papal mobile. He was greeting people. He was blessing them. He didn't even wear that oxygen tube under his nose. They made that commentary of it. So, and you could see the picture. He was on limited time, but he was going to be out there with the people. So, what a great example for all of us, right? And no matter who you are, what you're to live life to the full, be out there for the people. Don't worry too much about your health. Give yourself to the others. It was just a marvelous example to all of us.
Well, Father, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Father Rocky Hoffman, appreciate it.
God bless you guys.
Thank you, sir.
We will